Book 301. Good morning, good morning. Welcome back to Morning Motivation with Matthew Daniels, and today I'm going to tell you guys about the Holy Land on Liberian soil. That's right, the Holy Land on Liberian soil. But what is Matthew Daniels talking about? A long time ago, in the area of the earth that we call Liberia today, there lived a man in a village who was very poor but very righteous. This man, who was one of my ancestors no less, lived in a kingdom which valued money and material possessions more than it valued human life. Because of this, the kingdom was always at war with its neighbors, and fighting was an integral part of society. The poor man and his family were ostracized in this kingdom because he did not support nor advocate war, and daily he would try to convince the people to change their ways. One day, the king had enough of his insolence and constant judgment against the fundamental nature of their society, and he decided to imprison the man. Even in imprisonment, the man stayed faithful to doing good, and he was rewarded by a vision from God. God appeared to him and said that because of his resolve, he would make of him a great nation, and he would bless his descendants with the riches of the earth. However, God warned him that if his descendants ever ceased to do good, their riches would be taken away, and they would suffer the fate of the wicked. Amazingly, after this promise from God, the man was released from prison, and all of his endeavors prospered, and he went from being very poor to being very rich. When he died, his descendants after him remained good, until one rose up who was wicked and evil. God made good on his warning, and the man's family lost their riches and were exiled from the land. And many prophecies were made, stating that if they ever began to do good again, they would be restored to their former blessed state. His descendants were scattered all across what we now call West Africa, and they lived amongst the various tribes, nations, and kingdoms for many centuries. In these new lands, his descendants continued to do evil, and they forgot the good ways taught to them by their ancestor. And when the transatlantic slave trade ravaged the west coast of Africa, many of these descendants were gathered up and enslaved in the Americas. In this state, the man's descendants were humbled, and they saw the extent of the wickedness of man within the hearts of their enslavers, and they soon determined to change their own ways and become good and righteous again. After several more centuries of enslavement, a group called the American Colonization Society began an effort to repatriate the enslaved Africans to the west coast of Africa. They did not realize it, but they were being led by outside forces to choose the area of Liberia for this repatriation. Many ships began taking men and women to Liberia, and the formerly enslaved kissed the ground upon their arrival. One day, a man and his family were digging a well behind their new home, and they stumbled upon a very ancient altar and a collection of books. He soon found out that this was the very spot where God had come to the poor man many thousands of years ago, and he realized the ground upon which he stood was holy. This man was kind, gentle, good, and righteous, and he was also a direct descendant of the poor man. God appeared to him in a vision and reminded him of the promise to his ancestor, and God said the time of redemption had finally come. The man, while digging the well, found a deposit of a precious mineral that the new world could not live without, and it was in so much abundance that below his feet it was as if he had the wealth of the world at his disposal. This man began mining and selling the mineral, and his wealth grew and grew. And with this wealth, he sought out all of his family members so that he could raise them up out of poverty as well. And all those who chose to be righteous and who chose to do good were blessed with the wealth of the world, and they were indeed a blessing unto all others as well. And so, the morning motivation of today is the Holy Land on Liberian soil. When you really think about it, the time that we have on this earth is short. Because of this, it is nearly impossible to do all that must be done in one lifetime. So, it is better for us to consider that our lives are interconnected to those who came before us and those who will come after us. In this way, we can execute plans properly, see them through until they mature and unfold, and we can create an environment in which the majority are blessed and not simply the few. So today, carry on a project that was started before your birth. Pass something of value down to future generations, and always strive to do that which is good. And remember, you are awesome, you are amazing, you are wonderful, and you are great. And you are going to change the world. I just hope I'm still alive to see it, family. I'm out. Good morning. To order books in the Morning Motivation with Matthew Daniels book series, search Morning Motivation with Matthew Daniels on Amazon.com or visit www.dandyandbigherb.com.